Hey all, here OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at a very cool and cute mini printer called the PeriPage. It sells for under 60 bucks and it connects either to your phone using Bluetooth, or you can also use a USB connection to a computer. But it's super tiny and pocketable. Part of the reason is because it uses a thermal printing technology, so the ink is technically built into the paper as opposed to using a traditional ink cartridge, for example. This unit in particular is also wireless, so it can also be used when on the road. It can also be used as an emergency power bank to supply some extra juice to your phone. Inside of the packaging here, we have quite a few little accessories, including the first little part here, made out of aluminum, is what you use to connect a micro USB port onto the printer, and that gives you access to a full-size USB port, which you can then use to charge your smartphone by plugging in your regular USB cable. So the printer itself doesn't have a full-size USB port built in, but they give you this adapter. Then there is a standard micro USB cable for charging the printer itself, and we get some pretty cute looking stickers, which you can use to stick onto different pages and further decorate your prints, or even the printer itself. All these little cartoon faces is just super adorable and cute. Other ones which are representing kind of math figures. Here's one which is more of that logo, it seems, PeriPage, which is this bear. Then we've got the instruction manual that tells you how to set it up and connect it / install the companion app. And we have just the mini printer itself. And there is a logo here that says PeriPage. It's actually an interesting clip that you can use to open up and attach what seems like a piece of paper or a print onto the top surface, like a mini clipboard. Right now it has a kind of info card that actually says PeriPage. There are two switches on the side that you can pull on together in order to pop the top compartment open. Doing so will reveal the part where you can pop in the refillable paper, which is just a typical thermal paper that you can also see in cashiers and other receipt printers. What it means though is that the prints are also going to be in black and white or monochrome, since the paper itself is really affordable. There are some basic specs on the rear, and that's basically it. The power key is located on the side here next to the port where the paper comes out from. And if we do a quick size comparison, this is not the first mini memo printer. We have reviewed other ones which are kind of similar in premise. The first one called the Memo Bird, which we reviewed almost 2 years ago to print out quick messages, QR codes, cartoons, things like that, sticky notes, and they also sell for about the same price. But the PeriPage is a better value, I think, because now it has the ability to have a battery inside, so you can take it with you when on the go, versus the older Memo Bird needed to be plugged in at all times. Just over a month ago was one from Samsung. It's actually using the exact same concept, but this one is also a lot larger, and it doesn't have a built-in battery either. Here is the kind of a website. You can see that it is able to print out things like images, black and white, which are really simple and kind of a nostalgic throwback look. You can also print out memo pads, and also being pretty affordable in this case. Tapping on the power key, it also lights up in the same tone as the green, soft green accent on the top, which is pretty nice. And opening up the PeriPage app, we can see a very colorful, playful animation style that tells us how to connect to our printer for the first time. Tapping on the plus key and tap twice here, and that will print out a custom QR code that is unique for the printer that you can then scan to connect to it. And let's explore the interface further. We can print out images and text. So whenever you want to print something, always tap on the print key, and then you can click here to modify things like the font size and other profiles. So by default here, it's going to open up your keyboard. You can say hello. It's simply going to type out a quick message like that, and I can also do things like, again, add different effects, make it italicized, center the text differently, bold it, so all of these typical controls we can find. I can also enter things like various emojis even, or custom characters and sprites, animations of this cute little bear, and centered down below there. Other characters and cartoons that you can pick from include various ones from festivals, and here we have one for banners. So if you want to customize the notes borders into something a bit more special, we can try it, for example, with this one. Let's tap on the yes. One more here for cakes and other things which are like symbols. And here we have stamps, which are interesting. I'm going to tap on this icon. It's going to give me a preview page. I can also adjust things like the intensity of the background to make it a bit more faint, a bit heavier. I can create different copies. So I'm just going to print one right now. Tap on the print key there, and you can see the timer kind of time down until it's ready. So really fast, just a few seconds to complete. Of course, thermal paper is a bit more sensitive to heat, and it's not going to be something that lasts forever, of course, but for something that's more of a novelty, it definitely does work. There's actually two print modes that you can pick from as well, either text printing or picture printing. I can also save this little custom message that I've created. So let's call it hi. Tap on yes. It's now going to be saved into my gallery of options that I can pick in the future to just really quickly re-access and print out. So if I tap on the draft options there, you can find the hi. Now, other things that we can do include print out QR codes. So if you want to generate a QR code, that's possible from the app itself. Say I want to generate this particular address into a QR code, tap on the yes sign, and you can see that it will be showing up here accordingly. And let's tap on print once again. Final option here is for graffiti, so you're able to draw and doodle, so we can do things like OS reviews, and we can also kind of erase it. We can tap on the paint icon here to create different colors, although again the colors themselves won't really show up, but we can do undo, and we can choose the size of the paintbrush that we want to use, as you can see there. Also works pretty quickly and seamlessly. Let's try practicing the rip here a little bit better. A faster movement seems to do the job, and you get a more consistent edge. The second option here is for picture printing, so you can select an image to print out from your gallery. Let's try out these flowers right now and tap on confirm. And I can do things like create different copies. I can even apply different filters to it, kind of inverting the colors and making it more pixelated, making it completely black and white. I can even divide it across different prints. So for example, I can split it across 3, 4, or 5 different copies. It's going to print out row 1 first, then row 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then I can stitch these 5 together to create a larger image than the size of the paper itself, which is pretty small. So I can create a mosaic pattern. Now it's ready, printing out the first one. It also tells me how much of the paper I'm using, which is more detailed than some of the other ones that I've seen. And cut the paper to continue to print when it's done. Continue to print. Now printing row number 2 out. A bit of a jump cut there, but you can then stitch these together to create that larger mosaic pattern, which you can definitely use to create some interesting looking prints. And as we saw from before, from afar it can create actually a very interesting looking shot. There is a feature here that I haven't seen before on the other mini thermal printers, which is augmented reality. What this allows you to do is basically embed a code within your image, and whenever you're scanning the image in the future, you can see a moving version of it, which is very cool and interactive. Because it is a black and white image, after you scan it in the augmented reality mode, it can show up as color because you're seeing it through your phone screen. So this AR/VR kind of effect is quite neat. Here is a to-do list, which is pretty neat. You have some templates provided that you can print out and then use a pencil to write in that customizes it further with some different smiley faces and figures. It's a cat that says like this, and rip it off again, and you can then use this to kind of jot down any quick notes. So there's even a second screen of options, one here for document printing, so you can actually select Word documents or PDFs that you have, and once again slice it apart or zoom it in, crop it into different sections to print out. There's even a handwriting recognition function built on in. So basically you open up the image. Let's say I want to scan this scribble here of OS reviews, which was handwritten, a note from my journal. You can convert your handwritten notes into text or typed notes that you can save or print out as a copy, which is really neat. So right now I only want to recognize, OS reviews, and this is in English, so we can tap on the language bar here. This is in English, and tap on OCR for recognition. And this was its interpretation of the text. So if your handwriting isn't great, then sometimes the accuracy is not the best, but at least it's an interesting little software feature. Another one here called Learn Chinese. I like the idea a lot, but I think the implementation on this part could still be a little better unless you are already a Chinese native language learner, and you can already read some of the characters, and then from there you can just challenge yourself. But if you are a complete beginner, the interface here doesn't seem to have translations into other languages, for example, so it could be a little tough, but does provide you with some Chinese tools, things like poems, different common words to look at. But again, mastering this will require some degree of I think, familiarity with the language already. Other modes like web print allows you to visit a URL on the website and you can print out, a web page, but we're actually not done yet. There's more options in the software. One for discovery that allows you to find additional content, like you can print out mini games like tic-tac-toe, other things like a digital maze or a Sudoku game, word search game, coloring game, which are created either by the manufacturer or by community members to share using this app. So the app is pretty slick and gives you a lot of customization, from additional content from community members to scanning in text, printing out photos, stitching them together into mosaic patterns, creating AR effects. There's a lot that you can do here. Now, maybe the one software trick that I would like to see would be how much battery life is left in the printer. That's not something that's visualized in the app, which is interesting, not even in the settings. So that's something that they should probably add. One of the last things to test out here is going to be that power bank function. And if we attach it to our iPhone, we can see that the charging does begin. So it is functional. By no means is it a fast charger necessarily. It will supply output up to 5 volt, 1 amp. So for most devices, it will take a while to top up, but it's a nice little emergency / backup feature. So that's more or less it for our hands-on review of the PeriPage, a mini wireless printer for photos, AR, labels. There's quite a few applications that you can use it for, very creative and fun. This might be the most fully functional one yet that has the most features. Being truly wireless with a built-in battery is always nice to see, and the fact that it has support for some additional tricks that we haven't seen before using the software. So if interested in a cute little mini printer, you can learn more details. For now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the PeriPage.